Coming to you from the Upmarket studio at Gasworks in beautiful San Buenaventura, California, this is Real VC, a podcast all about Ventura County real estate. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO of Upmarket Media. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Katie Connolly, the assistant team leader at Keller Williams, West Ventura County. That's long, Katie.
Yes, thank you for that intro, Reed. Appreciate it.
Well, of course, there's a lot of words. And you know who else is here? Producer Chelsea. Thank goodness.
I'm here.
Off camera, but working up a storm, producing.
Still here.
Fixing the levels, running the cameras. Man, she does it all. And you know what? This is a podcast about Ventura County real estate, and we've been talking to Ventura County realtors. But you know what? Because we're kind of focused in West Ventura County, there's a whole other part of Ventura County that we haven't been talking about. And so I thought, who is the one guy I know who I want in here from East Ventura County, and it is Davis Bartels.
Welcome.
Pinnacle in Westlake Village. So Davis, if we're comparing West Ventura County, which is the area I'm more familiar with, what is different about either the market or just like how you're doing business, how people are doing business in East Ventura County, up in the Tony Westlake Village area?
Well, I would definitely say that like culture is a little bit different for sure. When you spend time in the Conejo Valley as opposed to the Ventura area, it's just kind of a different lifestyle for sure. And what we've seen is that Westlake and surrounding Conejo Valley has always been a hot real estate market. And I think that over the last few years, Ventura County Ventura City and surrounding areas have become a very hot real estate area. And so the business has always been booming. And if you go look at the type of agents and the production in Conejo Valley, it's a lot. And there's a lot of people that are very serious about this business. And it's a very, very competitive market. Now, I've never been centralized in Ventura or Oxnard or Ojai. We've done a lot of business out here and continue to. So I only know what I know, but I can tell you that where we're at, it's very competitive, but it's a fun market and it's a tiny community.
Yeah. Well, I feel like once you get up the grade, like to me, psychologically, it's more LA for me, right? Once you get up there,
like halfway to Los Angeles.
Yeah, but it just has a different vibe, and it is more LA because I think a lot of people who live there are working in LA, and where if you're living in Ojai, it's tough to work in LA unless you're doing part remote, So it's like I don't think we have as many of those daily commuters, and so I don't know if that kind of changes it probably does change the clientele,
For sure. I mean, the way that you think about that, you got to realize like people in LA think that the world ends at Calabasas and then it starts again in Santa Barbara. So like there's kind of to like LA people, I feel like there's a blank space. And I know this because, in 2020, 2021, and even a lot of 22, almost every single seller was moving out of the state to all the states that we know. And every single buyer was moving from LA because of the work from home, right? And you guys saw that too out here for sure, especially 100%. In a city like Ojai. Yeah. And Ojai had a shift after the fact because a bunch of people got called back into work and they're like, oh, I gotta leave. I'm going back to the city.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I can see that, and it's a little more LA, but I love it there. I think there's nowhere else in the world I would rather live for the most part, than in Westlake. Yeah.
So did it feel like quite a trek coming down that hill today?
So I thought I was going to Santa Barbara, honestly. And that was why the first thing I asked is to go to the bathroom because I was in the car for a while. But yeah, it's cool to be here. And we met originally in Ojai. It's funny because we're talking about this. And so I bought a property in Ojai and we remodeled it and resold it. And we were going to maybe keep it anyways. So what happened was I was working with one of the agents on our team, Logan, and I said, hey, can you get I want the guy, right? I want this house to look amazing. And so she's like, okay, so I don't know what she did. And she's like, I got these people. And I was like, all right, cool. Like just handle it, make it happen. And then we got the photos back and I was like, oh God, these are amazing photos, right? Oh, I'm not saying this because I'm on your podcast. I am saying it because I'm on your podcast, but I've told people this story before. And I got the twilight photos, and I'm a big proponent of twilight photography, and it just makes the photo pop, right? Because like when you sell a property what happens? You kind of get one shot, right? You've got like a cover photo, you've got a price, an address, bedroom, bathroom. Like you've got one shot to get them to click on the photo and potentially set up a showing. And so that cover photo better be good. And we got your photos and I was like, wow, this is legit. And I was like, we should give these guys a shot. And so we started cranking. Towards the end of the project, it took us a while to do it. We permitted everything, but towards the end of the project, I was driving to Ojai like once a week from Westlake. And I was like, how is this so far? I'd gone to we go to the inn and hang out and do that. But like going every week, I was like, this is insane. So yes, it's very far.
Well, yeah. Well, and I want to throw in on that Twilight thing is that I don't know what the numbers are, but it seems like if I remember right, people are like 30% more likely to click on your listing if there's a Twilight photo, and so they just see that beautiful Twilight sky and they want to do it. So it's sometimes we feel maxed out on Twilights because it's a lot to have to be out at a property, especially in the summertime when we're looking at you're out there at 8 p.m. and you're just wrapping up, and so it's a little arduous for our shooters, but we love doing them. So, and
you've only got one slot a day per photographer too. So, because I know when we've had multiple in a week, it's like, well, how do we coordinate this?
Yeah,
and we make it work. But we did.
That's Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Shout out to Chelsea.
And I press you guys because it's like my thing is I don't want to post a daylight photo. I don't want a single daylight photo on my listings, but I still have to give all the right angles and give the perspective to the online shopper of what they're looking at. And so, but we did the big one we did in Newbury Park recently, and we did the drone Twilight. And that was amazing. I don't know if you've looked at that one, but you should because it's an awesome house and it looks really good.
I should look at all the photos we produce.
Yeah.
Well,
might as well.
Yeah. So, and are you working with you have a team, right?
Yeah, we do.
So how many agents do you have?
We have 13 agents on the team. We have a listing coordinator and a transaction coordinator.
Man.
And me.
Yeah, and you.
Don't forget about me.
That's why you can be on our podcast, because you have a team behind you working on all the stuff behind the scenes and probably in front of the scenes too, actually, with the team that big.
Yeah, and it's like, we were talking about it and it's tough and you have your challenges, but it's fun and it's rewarding and there's a lot of positive in it.
Well, how much of your time do you feel like you're spending managing a team versus actually doing, real estate?
I think it definitely ebbs and flows. And I think that, I think that it's funny. I think in real estate, like agents are like, the Davis Bartels group. And it's like, well, what do you like? It's you and like your mom is processing your files. Right. And like, I never really wanted to be like a team. I never had any desire to be a team. And I'm going to answer your question, but it just happened, right? Like someone came to me and they're like, hey, I want to work with you. And then we started working together and then, we got eventually it's time to get an assistant, and we can talk about what that looks like too. Cause that's always a big question in real estate. Like, when do I hire an assistant, or should I, or is that important?
Yeah.
And I've done both, and I've done a lot of production with and without an assistant. And, next thing you know, it just started growing, and, of having now, as of right now, having 13 agents, like we don't really recruit very much at all, if at all. And I think that that's important because the people on the team I'm very close to and I have a great relationship with, and, we enjoy working together. There's a dynamic and a culture, and that's super important to me because if I'm going to work with you that closely and I'm going to take time out of my day, which is challenging because I want to go home and hang out with my family and I want to do things on my own time. If I'm going to do that, I ought to like you. Cause you think about it when when somebody you like asks you to do something, even though it's a huge headache, you're like, yeah, no problem. Someone you don't like asks you to do something and it's like the most minuscule task. You're like, oh gosh, right? And it just makes it a lot more enjoyable. But as far as how much time I allocate to the team, it really ebbs and flows, and it depends on transaction volume. It depends on where I'm at. But we do a lot of training right now. We're spending a lot of time on all the new legislation that's getting passed. I'm spending a lot of time on the back end doing that. I genuinely feel like I have an obligation to bring our team leads, to bring our team open houses, and ultimately bring the team deals, but also to keep them educated and keep them on the forefront of the industry when things are changing right now, because that's how you impact your business and grow.
That's so important. That's what I deal with almost every day, especially for the past couple months. And the challenge has been a lot of successful realtors that just want to close their eyes and do things the same way that it's always been done. And it's like, no, dude, things are changing. You got to get smart. Yeah. So that's good. Good to hear.
Well, and I want to backtrack for just a sec off of what you said. When do you know to hire an assistant? Can you talk a little bit about that and do you currently have an assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do they do for you, and what's that experience like doing volume with and without an assistant?
I've had for the last about 5 years, off and on, mostly on, I've had help as far as the administrative side of things go. I've had in-house TCs. I've had contract TCs. I've had assistants that do marketing, anyways, the point is I've had a lot of different options, right? And so what the bottom line is that's important with the agents I think need to understand is that, I talk about systems a lot because I'm a big systems guy and that makes my life a lot easier. Now, if you have one escrow, right? If you're running one escrow, you could figure it out, right? You could just be like, oh, we got to do inspections. We got to do this. And you just run it off memory. Well, how about if you're running 20 escrows? Right? You think you're going to roll out of bed and know what you're going to do that day? No, you need to have something smarter than your little tiny brain telling you what you got to do every single day, myself included. And it has to be something that holds you accountable. Because what makes you look the worst in this industry is stuff falling through the cracks. And then when your client calls you and says, hey, what about this? And you said, oh man, I missed that. And so the reality is that we run our business to facilitate 20 and over transactions at a time. But if you are running one deal right now at a time or two deals at a time, and your business is running to facilitate that, then you're never going to get to 20, right? But if you run your 1, 2, 3 deals at a time as you would if you had 20, guess what? That gives you the opportunity to get there, right? So have the systems in place, and that falls in line with having the administrative help, with having the whole system built out, because it's not going to just happen organically as you go. You have to build it, and then it will come.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, no, totally. I mean, I know that from our own business is like when, Mark and I used to have separate businesses, right? We were each other's biggest competitors. And then we merged our companies three and a half years ago to form Up Market Media. And the first thing we did is we brought on Chelsea, who, now that she also produces a podcast, but, she started out as just doing our admin. And my God, it's a life changer. And we were both at a point where we couldn't grow our businesses anymore because we had to do everything ourselves and we just ran out of time. There's no more time in the day. And so when we had Chelsea then that enabled us to actually spend the time training other people to do with the photography as well. So that way we can, we don't have to be shooting every day from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then we can have a whole team out there. And, that's a whole other thing in itself is finding people who can get out there and do it. And, that you want representing your business. But the key that unlocked everything is admin.
For sure. And it's like, you think about what your hourly wage is. So I would challenge every real estate agent who's listening to try to get a grasp on what you're worth hourly. So you could do a calculation and figure it out. So would you pay that hourly wage to have somebody do the minuscule, simple, or you look at it like some people are just better at certain things, right? Like some people are less creative than others. And a lot of people that are successful in real estate are not very creative. So like maybe you should have someone else doing creative. A lot of people consider me as to be a little too direct or pretty brash about things, right? So sometimes it helps. Good. I'm working on it.
I was joking. I've noticed many times.
Good. So, but it's absolutely true, right? And I'm sure you have. And so maybe sometimes it's a little better to have a softer touch, right? And to complement the business. But like there are certain things that it would be absolutely wild. Like it's just like you hire a landscaper. It doesn't make sense for me to go do my landscaping at the rate that, because I'm paying these guys, I don't know how much, not a lot. It just doesn't make sense. And the same applies to hiring someone to help you behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Unless you enjoy it, right? Like I think people. Well, right.
You don't enjoy landscaping.
Once you start making $120,000 a year, you should actually hire a chef, or something along those lines. And it's like, well, actually, I enjoy cooking, so I'm
gonna hire Chelsea.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I see Chelsea over there. She's giving me the time signal. So let's take a little break. We're going to come back. We're going to have our social media sidebar. Then we're going to talk about marketing. I think Davis has some good ideas on that. And then, man, action items. You know this guy's going to have a good one, don't you, Katie?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back.
And we are back with the social media sidebar. Reed, where can we find you?
Oh, me? Well, you can find Upmarket Media at upmarket.media across all social media. And then, we got stuff about the podcast. We're always showing a bunch of homes, a little behind the scenes on what we're doing. So, yeah. And
Good
what about
stuff.
you? I follow you.
Yes, thank you. You can find me at katie.connolly.realtor on Instagram. And then anything else, just Google my name and I'll pop up.
There
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Davis, where are we finding you on socials?
So also Googleable.
Yeah, of course.
If you want to follow us
Yeah.
on social media, all the handles are Davis Bartels Real Estate. I have the most fun on Instagram. So if you want to follow my personal page, which is also pretty real estate driven, but a little more about me, is Davis_Bartels.
Okay, cool. Well, here's the angle I want to take on this social media sidebar, because there's something that you do on Instagram that I think is pretty key that not a lot of people are still doing. I've seen more and more about it, but you're all about the collaboration posts. So every single time we shoot a house for you and you are posting that house on Instagram, you are not just tagging us, but you are inviting us to become a collaborator. And so if people don't know what that does, is that post now becomes from both of us, and both of our feeds see that post. And so when you do that, when you collaborate with us, well, you just put your listing in front of 5,000 more eyes potential. And so are you doing that? I mean, I feel like that's conscious. And are you doing that just with us or with a bunch of other people too? I mean, how's that working for you?
Yeah, so it really depends on the post. But I mean, if you're not, because our goal as a listing agent is like to get the number one step is to get the most amount of eyes on your client's property, because the most amount of eyes, like you go down the sales cycle, and like that ultimately yields the best result for them. But if you're not taking advantage of all these things that Instagram and all these other platforms have offered to you, then you're just, you're leaving money on the table, so to speak. So why not open it up to 5,000 more people? And we have a large team, and that's part of the beauty of having a team too, right? How many, all 13 people on our team all know a whole different set of people than I know. And those are all opportunities, right? And so why not open yourself up to all of that?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Not to mention your audience is all realtors who all have buyers who may want to see my listing.
Yeah, I just heard about, not just heard, but the collaboration post, I had heard it mentioned somewhere else that it's good for the ever evolving algorithm. And that's the way to go, is to collaborate for sure.
And that's also why when we post about this podcast, we always do a collaboration post with you. And so it's that, and we'll do it when we do it, for this episode, we'll of course, collaborate with Davis on that. And I think we're trying, we're not doing as many like native posts anymore. We're doing more stories, right, Chelsea? I mean, are we still just doing kind of one post a week?
No, we try to be more active than that. We have behind the scenes stuff that we're putting up.
Well, but I mean, in our feed though.
Oh, in our feed, yeah.
Yeah. So we do our house of the week.
Yeah, but we usually have a collaboration post that pops up. So
yeah, okay.
that's a few posts a week.
And I think every time when we're focusing on one nice listing we've just done in the last week, we are trying to do collaboration posts, but not everyone accepts. And I'm just like, would you just accept?
Yeah.
And we should probably just be posting more houses and because I think there was a time maybe a year ago where it was like, no, you're not supposed to post as much. It's all about stories. But now I think people are saying, now you should post more. So
I mean, you guys have unlimited content. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the twilight photos you guys are shooting, it look amazing. I mean,
for businesses, people want, when you said you were looking for the best guy, you could go to Upmarket Media's Instagram. And if you guys were just all stories, then you'd have history and proof of all your amazing photos.
It has to be a mix of everything. Because I think if it's just front shot of a house after front shot of a house, it does get
they're always
boring.
pushing something, right? Like when Reels came out, they were pushing Reels. And if you were, if you post the same thing on Reels as you do a standard post, you're going to get more eyes on the Reel. And like with the collaboration, they've been pushing that. But recently, I think with the collaboration, it went from you can only collaborate with one person. Now you can collaborate with like 6 people.
Oh, is it?
So why not?
Yeah. Oh,
what are you losing collaborating with people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think that's a mantra for life, actually, a mantra for life is, collaboration is key. I mean, that's what, when we come together, we're always, usually better than if we're just alone, right? I mean, it depends on who you're collaborating with.
Our new word of the day is profound.
Yes. That's right. I'm trying to bring the profundity to this podcast. So I need to take a little break to think of more profound things to say, but we'll be right back. We're going to talk marketing. We're going to end with action items.
Love it.
All right, Katie, let's talk marketing. It's time for some marketing moment. So Davis, we've talked a bit about your Instagram stuff, but what else are you doing for marketing? What's working for you?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously marketing is huge in this business.
Yeah.
So that's why we're sitting here.
Profound.
There's entire businesses such as yours that are built around it. For us, if I watch the flow of my business from, over a decade ago to today, where the generation of my businesses is completely different today than it was 10 years ago. And so it was much more organic in the beginning. And I think that, people get caught up in the wrong thing. But for us, what we do is you figure out what works and then you push the gas down a little bit harder on that. What we do is we kind of do everything really. And if you look, I very closely track everything, that every transaction we do, every lead source that we have, where every referral that we get. So I know really everywhere everything comes from, team, me, or otherwise. And so so I'll just break it down for you. We do mail marketing. So we do 2 pieces of mail a month. We do that to our sphere and to our geographical farm. We do social media, obviously. I'm no social media pro, but we get a pretty significant amount of business from social media, believe it or not. We do heavy sphere marketing and that includes the mail, also email, as well as events. We do 3 events a year. I would love for you guys to start doing videography for events because that would really make my life a lot better. Because we do that, right? And so I'm also a big proponent of lunches, coffees, and dinner and, the belly-to-belly interaction, right? Because this is a relationship business. We also spend a considerable amount of money marketing. We have a pretty sizable marketing budget for things outside of just marketing our listing. So whether it's lead generation or Instagram, Facebook sponsored ads or posts, we do a lot of things around that. We also do a pretty significant amount of referral business that we invest in for out-of-area agents referring business to us as well. I probably forgot some stuff too.
Yeah, that was a marketing clinic right there. Yes.
All the marketing, everything. I love it.
Don't get me wrong, you kind of have another business too, and you're marketing as well. You're doing some property management, right?
Yeah. So we have a property management firm as well that I am the broker of record of, that's separate from our sales business, and we focus on residential and commercial property management. And obviously things feed each other. And if you look at, we talked a little bit off mic on the NAR lawsuit, and the question is in business, who wins, right? It's the person that shows up first. It's not the guy necessarily, if you're good at it, that's going to help. But if you show up first, you're going to have a lot better shot at it. I'm not saying I'm the first guy to ever own a property management company. But what I'm telling you is that when you look at the environment and the marketplace of what we're doing, you have what is the number one thing that we deal with in real estate. We're not talking about commissions. We're talking about interest rates, right? That's the biggest change in our business over the last few years. It's completely changed the world. And so what happens now? You have all these people that are in their home at 3% or less or close. And 5 years ago or 4 years ago, 2 years ago, that house worked for them. Now that house no longer works for them, right? Because they had another kid, they got divorced, they did whatever. And so what happens when the government is effectively paying you a lender is effectively paying you to carry a mortgage on a property? You don't want to sell it. So what do? You either make that property work for you with construction, hence the construction business is just booming like crazy, or you keep it. So what happens, you become a landlord, but you didn't buy that house to be a landlord. So what do? You have someone else take care of it, right? So where are the opportunities in the business? We saw an opportunity in property management. And so that's why we went there. And I'm not doing this all just to plug my property management company. I'm doing this to challenge you to think about where is the opportunity in your business and where can you show up first to find that opportunity. And with that, maybe think about these NAR lawsuits a little bit and find the opportunity in there. Instead of packing a bag to jump off the roof, maybe you can figure out how this is going to benefit you and how you're going to use this in your business in order to be on the cutting edge with the next transactions that you're doing in the coming months.
And I mean, that's what I was going to lead into too, because you, in our marketing conversation, it sounds like you're kind of have mastered marketing, but education's so important as well, and doing things the right way. And it sounds like you've done a lot of things to really learn about that as well, which is important.
Right. And I mean, you talk about a team, and one of the values of having a team for me is, is not what you may think. I mean, it keeps me really, really sharp. I talked about the obligation that I have to them. So it keeps my feet to the fire to be producing and doing business because, I have people that effectively, rely on me to bring them certain things. And one of those is education. One of those is to make their life easier. Part of the benefit of being on our team is that you don't have to stay up till 3 a.m. reading new contracts and listening to the CAR town hall and doing all these things, because I'm going to do it and I'm going to help you get through all of these things. And I have an obligation to bring that to them. And so what does that do for me? Well, it eventually, like, I'm going to know this stuff, and I have to know this stuff better because I'm going to have to speak about it intelligently. And if I can transmit to the team, and we're sitting around the table talking about how we're going to implement all this stuff, it's going to get me good at it. It's going to get me good at it quicker, and it's only going to get better as we go.
Solving problems. I love it.
Well, there you go. So we're just about out of time, but Davis, I do want to ask your take then on the settlement. I mean, what is the angle? What is, how is it going to change? And I know this guy is not falling. What are the opportunities here?
I mean, you want me to tell you everything?
Well,
I can't give it all away.
Jesus.
I think that, to be honest with you, I think that there's just a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about here, and there's a lot of stuff that we can't talk about here, right? Sure. And, a lot of this is unforeseen, but what I would say that the starting point, if we want to get a key takeaway from the NAR lawsuits, is that look back. I challenge you to look back, 10 or so, a little more years ago when Zillow came around, right? What happened when Zillow came around? When we all started in when real estate began, what did you do when you needed to know anything about real estate? You had to go to a real estate agent because real estate agents were the gatekeeper of everything. And Zillow turned that around, and we survived from that. And a lot of agents prospered from that, and a lot of agents sunk because of that. So just pick which side you're on.
Mm-hmm. Adapt or die, right?
There you go.
100%. And this is the guy who, cries about it, and your mindset is that this is challenging and it's work and it's not going to be fun. Those are the people that are going to have a hard time with this. If you embrace the change and get on it, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Or the workaround people. I hear a lot of those, like, well, this is a way to trick the system. And it's like, don't try to trick the Department of Justice. Don't put your license and your clients in jeopardy. Let's just follow the rules.
Unfortunately, we see too much of that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you are going to trick the Justice Department, you would need to take action. But I want to do positive action items, not deceitful ones. But so I'm going to go first. And then we'll go to Katie, and then I think Davis will hold the floor for another minute here. My action item is to do a collaboration post. There you go. And if the person you're collaborating with doesn't accept it, you got to DM them, you got to text them, you got to do something because you want them to accept it. There you go.
Love it. So I've had this one in the vault for a while. So
all right. Oh,
it's super easy. Yeah. Okay. But just let 5 of your neighbors know that you're in real estate. So yeah, you don't have to be knocking on the doors. You don't have to be cheesy. It's just, if you're taking a walk around the neighborhood, let Paul and Sally know.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I do. Yeah. And I know plumbers, and I know, all the contacts that you need to live happy and healthy here.
Boom. 5 neighbors. All right. All right, Davis.
I had a much broader one. I'll make it more specific. So I'm going to challenge you to set up 4 lunch, coffee, dinner appointments with your database this week, or do 5 things every single day that you don't want to do when you're sitting in the saddle at your office.
That's good. I'm going to do
5
that.
things you don't want to do.
5 things you don't want to do. I promise you there's a lot more than just 5.
Yeah.
But only do 5 of them.
Right. 5 steps at a time.
5-step program.
Yeah. All right. Well, Davis, man, thank you. That was a clinic. I think that's what
Such
we're
a
going to call
joy.
this episode.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was
you.
good. I appreciate it. Thanks for making the drive. And and thank you to our audience for listening. We love it. And Chelsea, Katie, Reed, thank you to all of us too.
Yes, thank you all.
We will be back shortly with a new episode. Thanks again for listening. Real VC is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode, but in the meantime, we hope that all your transactions will be smooth. Thank you for everything.